Yeah, it's definitely a big consideration nowadays because I think that if you look kind of you go back 5, 10 years, the data sources that we were faced with, it was a lot more of a kind of known quantity, whereas now we're trying to almost second guess what regulation is going to bring and how we accommodate that into our core data model. So I think when it comes to the selection or implementation of a solution, regardless of that tool, flexibility is key. So extensibility of the data model is going to be really, really important. Are you in a position that you can add new dimensions when required, new data sets when required? You have flexibility around your hierarchies. Stuff like that is going to make a big difference. And if you've got kind of workflow to go on top, then you're in a strong position to kind of orchestrate all of these different data collection processes across, for instance, budget and forecast and actuals, and then starting to throw in tax, ESG, etc. You've got a solid base. I think the other thing that jumps out to me when we talk about varied data sources is ingestion of data. So how do we kind of get ahead of that, assuming that we're going to be taking data from multiple ERPs, maybe even needing to source data from data warehouses now, depending on IT strategies internally. So I think a strong API capability is also really, really critical. You know, I'm seeing a lot of organizations traditionally would have probably turned to connectors, but the problem is they're quite narrow because they're focused on one particular ERP at a time, for argument's sake. Whereas now with an open API network and REST APIs, that gives a lot more flexibility to the customer in terms of ingesting data, I think.